Hi, I'm Gil. This is Burkland Gardens. So today we are going to go through some plants that I just received from my friend. He has a nice little inventory. He's been taking care of them for the last 7, 8 years. The trees would tend to be about 12 years old, maybe 15, and some a little bit older. But as far as age goes, and they've been well taken care of. They're grafted originally by a grower in Oregon who's since passed away, and um, but that's the backstory on that part of it. And now they're available to hear people locally. Most likely, we won't ship any of these, even though a few people have inquired, and it's always in the realm, but it's not something I really like to do. So let's go through a few of them, and I'll kind of walk through what I have in my inventory, and there'll be some more coming, and there's probably an opportunity as well to talk about. I've been advertising on Facebook Marketplace that the nursery's closing, and that is the intention. I'm 78 years old, and I'm planning on winding down, but I have this inventory, and we'll go through some things that are not ready to sell right now, and so we're going to have to continue to sell them over the next year or so. So anyway, stay with me, and I'm not trying to promote um, false advertising. We're just just moving along, doing the best I can. So anyway, let's talk about a few of these trees. Well, I've got one right in front of me, a really nice sized Skylands um, Picea armorica, Serbian spruce. They'll get a sometimes we'll get a small amount of burn on them as they mature, and usually you don't have an issue with that as they're in landscape. You can put them in the full sun, but just gold year round. Well, we get definitely become a medium sized tree, so it's not something you put right next to the house. It would be away from your house or away, on the edge of the property, or and it's a nice one to view with that bright gold along with your other trees that you have. So Skylands, definitely a favorite. So let's get into a few spruces. We've got a Norway spruce, Picea abies, one called Medusa. It has a nice blue green, kind of a gray tone to it. Um, 1 to 2 inches of growth per year. We've got a nice little bit of 2 inch plus maybe growth right there. But again, these are um, would fit the nice. They're on a short standard, so they've been grafted a little bit high, but not super high. So they're low, and you can still plant underneath it. So that's a great one. So another Medusa, slightly different color. We've got a few here that are a little more blue, a little more gray. So there's a little group. There's 5 of them here, maybe 5 or 6. So we'll see what this one here is. So this is Lanham's Beehive. I think I have 2 of these. Another compact Norway spruce on a very short standard. That's a great one for the small garden. This tree right here is eastern white pine, Pinus strobus. I'm just calling it Nana. Nana is an official name, but just meaning it's a slow growing tree. It has a nice blue, and with it's in that white pine type 5 needle pine, and it's even starting to develop cones. So nice shrubby. It'll become large shrub size. It can take some pruning to keep it in check if it gets bigger than you want it to be. So that's a really nice one. So black pine, Austrian pine, Pinus nigra, green tower. I had 5 of them, but they're sold. I've sold about 20 of the 100 plants that I got in 2 weeks ago. Um, so they're 20% reduction in my inventory on these, but I have more coming. So anyway, nice, slender, slow growing. It looks like it would grow faster, but it's very compact um, and upright and narrow. So dark green color, really, really a nice tree for a small space to give you some height in your garden. So and so we got some I'm tripping over irrigation here. So I put this on drip irrigation. Um, this planting media is mostly a fine bark, so you want to keep it wet. That I do, with that type of a fine bark, you want to keep it consistently wet. This is a alpine fir called Arizonica, Glauca Arizonica or Arizonica. So slow growing will be a small to medium-sized tree. You get to see the growth on it. This year, being as old as it is, so they're in their happy time where they're growing a little bit more. The color is just outstanding, and so that is a really nice one. Keep the needles cleaned out on these, and that's really nice. So I've got four of these furs. They're a Korean fir called silver show. So a lot like Hortzman's Silberlock and Icebreaker, but again, this one will be upright, but it shows the silver really nicely. The needles curl very nicely. Upright, slightly irregular habit, but it'll be conical. But it would be it fit into the small landscape if you site it right perfectly. So they grow really well here in the Pacific Northwest, and some areas not so well. Firs don't do well in the southeast with humidity, and sometimes the East Coast. So an Oriental spruce, Picea orientalis, early gold, still showing some gold. Can't remember exactly the habit. I see a leader coming off this one, so it establishing a leader late at that 12 to 15 year mark, and still showing some of the gold in its foliage. I really like Oriental spruces. I have to say they're my favorite spruce because they're not real pokey, and we've got another eastern white pine, Pinus strobus, the unknown cultivar, but pretty compact. It's so that's a nice and a little lighter blue color, and then right behind it we've got another eastern white pine called so it's a Pinus strobus called Diggy. Short needles, nice blue color, and fairly compact, and really in 20 years you wouldn't expect it to be more than 10 to 12 feet, 15 at the most if it's really happy. So, and it might even be a little slower than that. So Diggy's been popular at the nursery, and I've sold one recently, and I have been sold out. So we've got 4 going on here. I think this is another of the unknown Pinus strobus. So what do we got here? Pinus sembra. So it's an eastern European pine, sembra is, and this is a dwarf version of it called Chalet. Again, a nice blue tone, longer needles, and fits the small landscape quite well. So it's we've got a few of these left in the field that are older ones, and I really like them because they're very tight and compact and nice looking. So got a group of 5 black pines, Pinus nigra, and this one's called Judd's Gem, and sometimes it's called Judy's Gem. It's the same one. This is a discovery by Jim Boyko, and Jim Boyko is the one that the nursery he produced these plants. And Judy was his wife's name, so it's a plant discovery that he had. Nice, compact, globose, rounded form of the black pine, so very well behaved and really nice. So this conifer here, Picea abies push. This one was conifer of the year a few years back. It's actually not my favorite, but it has a characteristic, slow growing, and it gets these red cones at the end of the branches, and so it has a really interesting look. And I've got 4 of these, so this is an interesting one to have in your landscape. So these are parvifloras, Japanese white pines called brevifolia. So this will be a small to medium sized tree. Little bit open in between the branches, but you can prune this and keep it. They take pruning very, very well. you get lots of cones on this one. There's the old cone hanging on, a new cone that's forming here. We've got some young cones up here. So that's really nice. Really nice color on this one as well. Here's another Norway spruce called Dumpy. And Dumpy, again, a very compact Norway spruce. It'll contrast with the other plants and even other Norway spruces with slightly different colors and texture. So that's a really nice one. So before we move to another aisle, I want to look at these Goldilocks, another parviflora, just like we looked at brevifolia behind it. Gets these golden needles on the tips of the needles, and fairly slow growing. These have a little bit of a windswept. You could keep this like one like this here. You could take these branches off and keep it more globose or rounded and low, but there's something you want to do on occasionally you just have to do that to keep it that way, and then because normally it's just going to put a leader up like this and become an upright, but they all have a little bit of a windswept look. So really a nice tree, and it's always nice to have gold in landscape. I love having gold trees in the landscape. So some Mugo pines. This one here, unnamed, but it's probably a Sherwood compacta, which is always for the Mugo pines is one of the top choices. You find them in the trade quite often. They're grafted on standards. So a number of these are grafted on standards. Another Norway spruce called Hilltop. So a couple of those. You can see color pretty blue. This one's a little more green. So depending on how much sun or what their environment is, they can be the color can change. Only have one of these. It is another eastern white pine, Pinus strobus, called Horsford. Grows pretty slow and compact. A very desirable tree to have in the landscape. So again, it's always been a container, but you would expect it to be it's reached on nursery standards. It's reached its mature height and size, but nothing stops growing. So you would expect to have another 10 years, a slightly bigger plant here. Then I got another Pinus banksiana, the jack pine from up in the Great Lakes area, all the way up into Canada. Skagit. This one's staked for a little bit of height, but then there's one behind me. They have a contorted branch, interesting bark. The cones are interesting. This is such a nice plant. Just keeping the needles brushed out of them, and so you can see some of the bark and the limbs as they grow. Skagit is a nice plant. Another one that's like it has a slightly different growth habit is Uncle Fogey. So it's another nice one to have. Here's a plant that I've really come to like a lot. Another Sembra, that European pine, mountain pine, I think it is, and Kinsey Rose is the name of this one. But the color on it, look at that, so nice, and the tree is so compact. Another Japanese white pine called Tanaima no Yuki. So someone wanted to buy this last week, but they bought a couple plants, but this tree is quite old. I would guess 15 to 20 years old. White needles that don't burn. Really, really interesting. Nice little trunk on it. Look at that. It's yeah, it's kind of a nice trunk, isn't it, Max? So I think we've got some more of that Norway spruce called Dumpy. These are grafted a little bit higher. Colorado spruce, again with the cones that come out on the end of the branch. And these cones, early cone it's called. I'm pretty sure that these are red cones, but I'd have to double check on that and make sure. So a little bit of the inventory. There's more coming of this age group. from my friend. They're not available anywhere else, and and a lot of times they're the rare, rarer things or hard to find type conifers at a mature age. So I hope you like this video and some of the things that are here, and so we're gonna have, hopefully, our plan is to have videos weekly throughout this year, as I start my sales coming up here in Labor Day in a couple weeks, and have the start to reduce my inventory a little bit more. But I'm going to show you some of the things I've been shifting up that won't be available. So until next time, we'll see you later. Thanks for joining us.